Hello, my sister Kristen. Happy Mother's Day. A little video for you to join me for a little Mother's Day and a early 60th birthday little brunch with me. I will write on the menu what we got going on here, but yeah, these were actually gifts from you and from work and from last year. And but I actually want to talk to you about your painting. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, sit back. This is going to take a little bit. It's going to be really fun. And I just want to thank you for your beautiful inspiration because while I did this painting for you, I have to tell you, it was never about you, my dear sister Kristen. It was always about me, 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 me. But that's kind of the beauty of what I figured out about my artwork these last couple of years is, so I got a couple of hints this week that told me I needed to talk to you. So I ended up finding this on the beach. I asked for some signs, and of course, this has been sitting on my table now for a week, and I did repaint it. And if you can see, I added sparkly paints to it. So it's got an iridescence to it. The light's not quite right here. But anyways, this was one of the most beautiful gifts. This I got at work. Some guy walked in and he set that on the shelf as I was walking by and asking him if he needed help. And he said, no, I have this for you. And I said, really? And I almost started to cry. And I was like, I don't know if you realize, but you just gave me a gift from my mom because, you know, she used to always say everything is just ducky. And anyways, we started talking and we had a really pretty amazing, intense conversation. And he shared with me that he was a veteran and that he was dying of Agent Orange. And I kind of just channeled some messages of sort of like peace be with him on his travels and that it was going to be a good place. And I don't really remember what I said, which is good. So that means it wasn't really coming from me. But anyways, I went to some inappropriate places and it was interesting because my human self wanted me to stop the whole freaking time because I felt like I was doing this again. I was blowing things up. I was volcanoing out. I was just spewing my words because I felt everybody needed to hear them. You know, that's kind of what this volcano represents to me. But it's also, I want to read about Pele. It's also about creating new ground too, because without the volcano, without these things to create new life, you know, we don't have the soils, we don't have the islands, we don't have some of the beautiful things without this, I want to say imminent destruction of some things. And this really represents like you and I and our birthday the 13th and a lot of the stupidness we've been through, meaning our traumas. And it's not what we go through, it's how we deal with it. And, you know, I had a 3-banger first off. And so, you know, Steve and I have probably gone through the most trauma at the most times intensively. But what it did for me was, you know, it blew my world apart. And, you know, I then continued to pretty much become a solitude island and burn up all the relationships around me because I had this new gift and this new way of being that I couldn't understand and I didn't know about it. And I had to, you know, start delving into these mysterious things in the unknown. And so to get a little backtrack on how my art evolved again was this is one of, I don't know, this is right around like the first dozen or few what I would consider channeled pieces, drawings that I did called intuitive artwork. And I did it with the intention for my sister, and I did the drawing for her birthday on 2/13. And initially I thought the message was that we've got your back, meaning the elements, mom, you know, the rubber ducky, because she'd always say just ducky. And, you know, Chris always loved Frosty the Snowman. So the snowman, that just was there. And we have a thing in our family that dream catchers have always drawn us to them. And also this represents the marriage of two tribes. Her husband is half Yaqui Indian, half Mexican. And this is a hilarious little image that it reminds me of a time that I absolutely loved because I was in an island with my siblings. And so it was just us that get to get along. And that was like one of my most favorite times. And this was really about the perception of, we saw a centipede, looked it up in the encyclopedia. I think there were pages stuck together. It was a killer centipede. We had the door blockaded by the time everybody got home. And then this beautiful image up here is about our spirituality, because a four-pointed star is about, Jesus's birth and Mother Mary, and the star that was there to shine the shepherd's way. And that's our upbringing and our spirituality, but it also really represents how important spirituality is for us in our life, whatever that means to you. And then this is also these little planets here. I think this is really cool. This actually sits on top of the volcano over here. Up there is where that goes, but we'll leave that there for now. But one of the things that you and I have in common, not just that we have a 13th birthday. So the 13th, it's about the 13th in the tarot is about destroying what doesn't serve us. So we have these new gifts to be able to talk to dead people and channel things that we have no idea how we know. Now, one thing that's very common about you and I and our planets in Kabbalah wisdom, which is the Judaism mysticism, is we all have 4 planets. And you and I, you have 3 planets because you have a double Saturn. Your other 2 planets are the moon, and your other planet is Uranus or Uranus, or however you want to say it. But you and I have all 3 of your planets in common. I have Mercury, which is the messenger, and that's because I was born on a Wednesday. You were born on a Monday, so was Tim, so was Micah. So you guys all have moon as a number 1. Your daughter also has moon as a number 3. So you have a lot of moon in your world. And this is about the dark side of the moon. It's not about the sun and the moon. It's about the dark side of the moon and illuminating it with the light from within. Because it's the lessons that we learn in the hardest of times that bring us to our light. And this is like the funniest image ever, because I had this painting, and I had this hanging in the condo with me because I was doing work with it, because everybody said, oh, look at that cool dude in the rocks. And I could never see this image of this guy's profile in the rocks, who I call grandfather. And I didn't see it until I got this deck, and I did the drawing in 2016. I bought this deck in 2017 when I came back from the ashram and was living with Dad. And I'm going to read the volcano, I'm going to read the waterfall, and I'm going to read the lotus, because these are all things that talk about the circle of life. And one of the most important things that brings it all together is the community. And all these studies that I've done about what is going to keep me living to be 100 is that the 4 things that we need to do in our lives to keep us healthy, to live to be centurions, is 4 easy things. 1, we need movement, and it's not specific walking up a hill. So I'm living in a perfect place. I don't need to do yoga every day if I'm walking up this hill every single day. That's known from the studies in Greece. 2 is nutrition. Plant-based nutrition is said to be one of the number 1 factors. Now, there are centurions that do love their meat, and so that's never say never. Everybody has their thing, but community and purpose are the other 2 biggies. And when I was talking about my dream in my letters that I was kind of reaching out to you guys when I was going through a really hard time, is I was really talking about my legacy, because I haven't had kids, and I'm not going to, because I can't at this point. And I know I'm going to be married at some point, and maybe we will adopt, and maybe he's got kids and I get to be a mom to kids again. But one of the biggest things that came to me about a month ago, when I was sitting in a really dark and depressive state, that's very natural for those of us that have the moon as our planet. My moon is not my number 1 planet, it's my business planet. So I have a lot of hard times about how I'm supposed to progress with my business. But what I've learned is I need to be authentic to me without burning bridges and without stepping on everybody else's spiritual toes. And so, this comes from the ancient wisdoms of, our spirituality from the Native American cultures. But, it's living in an ashram, and the things that I learned there that brought me back to my Christianity, and a lot of the things that get me by and give me my faith and my hope on a day-to-day basis. And there's a couple things I want to share with you. This in particular just cracks me up, because this came from my future husband, Hazen Adel. Yeah, I'll just say it. Or somebody like him, because he wants to have kids and he's younger than me, whatever. But he's kind of my ideal guy, because his purpose, he's already lived his purpose. Is my purpose was to adventure. Yours was to have a family and kids. And that wasn't mine yet. Mine was to adventure because of the adventure I was going to have in the spiritual realm before I settled down and found that man for the rest of my life that could accept somebody that lives in a very spiritual realm, but needs to know that grounding on this earth is part of it. And when we find the gecko in the paintings, which are in yours and Steve's and I think Scott's, and it's about like we can actually like have our limbs chopped off and grow another one back. The starfish is the same way. But it's also about this change in a lot of our sexuality and our personalities, because you and I are predominantly kind of have a lot of maleness to us. But it's really about, this whole painting is about our nurturing and our mothering side, and being Pele, being the creator, being Gofito in Moana, and creating the land of our ancestors again, and those communities again. And it's about coming together. And yeah, we don't speak the same language, and I get that, you know, and I don't expect you to speak my language. You have gifts, and I want to share those with the third message that came to me. So the first two was, you know, this volcano on the beach. The second was this from a man, well, from a dying man. It makes me want to cry. But anyways, that was what it was. And the third is the messages behind what the lotus represents. And the lotus represents not only just the seeds, but also the flower at the same time. And the lotus comes from the muck, and the lotus comes from the mud, and it comes from the emotions, and it comes from going through these things. Because when we sit in community in the Native American cultures, the Apaches do it. And I learned this from Sandra Ingerman. And the Apaches, when a vet comes home, they go through their traumas, you know, their COVID, you know, this would be something you can relate to, that COVID blew your world apart, right? It had you stepping into your intuition about what was the right and wrong thing to do with your family, and finding your flow with grace and ease. And the story behind this beautiful picture out of this book really talks about how in tuned I was when I drew this, and the magic is really in the messages at the time that I did one, and I didn't even know it. But back to the lily, and that is my name in Latin. That's why there is the lily in a lot of my pictures. Lily's pond, Lily's sword of light. They all have to do with Susan and the lessons I've learned. And the thing about the water lily is, or the lotus, is it emerges up and it hovers above the water when it comes to fruition, and it walks on water literally. And at night it goes back down and it goes into the mud. And that's one of the things, is there's a lot of time where we have to deal with the mud. You know, I don't believe in letting sleeping dogs lie, because they're going to wake sooner or later, and those dogs are part of our pack. And it's about, you know, not dividing, but finding the pack that's bringing us together, and that's going to eat this weird food that I'm eating. So these are Hatch green chili pancakes with a lemon yogurt and spruce tipped syrup. It's a sweet syrup all over that concoction, with scrambled eggs and blue cheese and truffled potato. Air fried, a little overdone with blue cheese, on arugula, and some berries with lemon and sugar, and some more lemon. You know, somebody that wants to hang out and eat this and maybe help me build a shed, you know, that's what we're all looking for, is that tribe. And, you know, I want to say I've tried to help you guys find yours and supporting you with your wedding and your kids and things like that. And so I guess I'm really just asking you guys, is you don't need to understand all this nonsense that I'm going through, but just pass it on to like the woo-woos and the crazies that you think would benefit from the things that I can give to them and the magic of this art. So I'm going to be sending this in to get this scanned, and then people can buy this beautiful artwork. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just read. I'm only going to read the waterfall, and then I'm going to post both the full copy for both the volcano and for this. And then also, Kristen, when I get the finances, because right now I don't have them. You know, I'm behind on rent again, but it is what it is. It's my 60th birthday. I'm going to fucking take myself out to dinner and worry about it next week. You know, I've made phone calls. People know I'm late on stuff. You know, it'll work out. So anyways, So I'm just going to read the waterfall, and I'm going to need to put my glasses on. So I'm going to set this down, and it's going to probably be really awkward. So I'm going to see if I can set it. Oh, there we go. I'll set it like that and get my glasses. And when I read it, I kind of want to show you. And so I did this drawing and I did this piece of artwork, and I couldn't even see this man in there until I finally gave it, had it hanging on the wall while I was taking care of my dad, and I was basically doing my work every day. So the waterfall represents effortlessness. Water naturally flows from higher to lower ground, eventually finding its way to the ocean. One of nature's most exquisite and dynamic demonstrations of this fact is the waterfall. Graceful, powerful, and effortless, she can take our breath away, and with her cascading beauty, very much like you, Kristen. I mean, we know this, right? She readily flows around that which may otherwise impede. She's extremely patient, persistent, and skillful in the way she ever so gradually shapes and carves her progress down the slope of the mountain. Note how the waterfall forms ribbons that accord with the artistry of the stone faces she descends, joining the calmer pool for a rest before she continues her journey. Note how the waterfall forms ribbons that accord with the artistry of the stone faces she descends, joining the calmer pool for a rest before she continues her journey. What the fricking F, are you kidding me? Yes, I drew that. The water simply flows natural law in the interaction between the formations of the precipices that she traverses and the powerful fluidity and adaptability of her flow, effortless. You have come to the edge of your comfort zone and find yourself fighting to resist moving past this perceived precipice of who you are, how you can be, or what you can do. Spirit is asking you to step beyond the edge and allow yourself to do so with ease rather than struggle. Yes, at times physical exertion is necessary, but when performed with fluidity and grace, even when the task seems daunting, you'll find that the movement moves you effortlessly. Approach the present situation or relationship with awareness and grace. Do not try to make it effortless. That just creates more strain, right? Like trying to say the word. The key word here is to allow. This is not a time to fight, but to surrender to the will of Spirit, even if you are being asked to let go completely and tumble into the brink of creation itself, back to the volcano. You will find the waters there to be ultimately still and calm. Keep your focus on your solar plexus and your breath, breathing through any tension, relaxing and yielding to the movement that is occurring at any given moment makes your life effortless. Right? So I want to tell you about the strength of your light that comes from this beautiful, beautiful painting, this inspiration, all of the things that you've given me, all the things that you've taught me and let me get to be a mom, break your kids, nurse your kids, try my magic out on your kids, try my intuition out on your kids. Thank you very much. But do you remember when you guys came over for the very first dinner after Mom had passed? And we were all gathering around, and you said, it'd really be nice if we had some light, Mom. And the lights came on. And it was the light that hadn't worked, the fixture over the thing, and it only worked one other time when I asked it to, like in the middle of the dark when I was going through a hard time. And I just want to tell you, that was you. that did that. That was your spiritual connection and believing in mom and the ethers of our ancestors, that they're there watching over us and sending guidance and sending little rubber duckies to us. Ask and you shall receive. Ask somebody to bring you a rubber ducky from a stranger and it'll happen. I promise you, it will happen. And because I ask for these things all the time and they happen. And so I asked for signs. And on Wednesday, which is my day, the day I thought I was going to do this video, because it's about communication, but I didn't learn the lessons yet about the light. And basically, I was laying in bed. I was awake. It was like, I woke up the time I was born, like 3:40, right? I'm laying there in the dark, staring, what am I going to do? 60. I didn't do my art show. Well, guess what? I'm doing my art show this weekend. I'm going to storytell about the art that I'm doing. I'm going to offer it for sale. I'm going to make some money and show you guys where my art is in town. How about that? Cool. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to go on a little walk. But I want to tell you about what the message Dad gave to me on Wednesday. And that was, I'm staring into the dark. And all of a sudden, my computer goes on. And it's a tablet. And it's on the screensaver, which is the desert, the Moab Desert, right? It's all these colors right here. It's Arches National Park, right? Like, hello, all the arching we got going on in this crazy thing. And it's 4:07, which is the time that Dad left us, because I looked at the clock when you and I were together. The most spiritual experience I've ever had in my entire life was with you. As we watched the man that we came together, not fight his imminent joining of mom on the day, 11 years to the day of her crossing. 4:07, he turns my computer on. And the little light, the eye is like blinking, saying, looking for you. So anyways, I pass that message on to you. So I'm looking for you, Chris. Whenever you're ready to sit down and have a meal and have some tea, I'm patient. Our time will come. You know where I live. There's always been a little bit of talk about coming to visit. So, yeah, we will fight no more for forever. We are examples of what this world needs right now. And this world needs love and nurturing and a time of coming together about the things that we love about each other, about the things we have in common. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. And now I'm going to eat. Happy Mother's Day. I love you. And happy 60th birthday to me. The Year of the Dragon. Oh, that's a new one. I'll talk about that one tomorrow. Oh, it'll be interesting. Love you. Bye.